Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here for Unity. Today with this really cool project, we are doing alcohol ink smooshing on non-Yupo paper. This is another way to use your alcohol inks that you've acquired on your Unity Stamp Company projects. Be sure to stay tuned to see how we created this look and how easy it really was. Alright guys, for this really cool card, we're going to be using the following products. The December 2017 Kit of the Month, Start Something New. I love using older Kit of the Months because they have these huge stamp sets. So we're going to be using this flower stamp set along with the You Deserve a Break today, which is just a really fun way to do it. So I have it ready to go on my Misty, and then I have my sentiment all lined up so we can attempt to stamp this straight. Then you're going to be needing a piece of cardstock, and this is kind of an off square that we got going on, and I have this in a rectangle that we are going to cut at a later point. Then you're going to need some masking tape, and I'm using the iCraft purple tape that's made for paper crafts. And last but not least, you're going to need some embossing ink powder. I have clear and gold, and that's going to be for this and for this. To begin, we are going to grab our Simon Says Stamp embossing ink. This is just what I have. You can use whatever you like, a Versamark, whatever brand you prefer for your heat embossing needs. And we're going to stamp this down right on the center of that white cardstock. And let me tell you, I'm not using Yupo paper. I like to use anything and everything else that I have that is readily available and I can replace easily. So I'm kind of just holding that down. We're going to see if it's fully covered, and you should be able to see it. So I can see that my centers have not been inked up. You might just need to push down. If you feel like you need to really get like itty bitty, you just kind of press down and use both sides from your hand, your fingers, to get that down. And we're going to give that another swipe of this embossing ink. And then we're going to try that again. And this is the beauty about using the Misty, that you can just come back and add more ink. So I feel like my Misty is warped, and that's why it's not quite stamping properly. Not necessarily my stamp. All right, I got it. I'm happy with that. We're going to remove this, set that aside, and we are using clear ink for this. Or excuse me, clear embossing powder for it. And it's just going to, that alcohol ink is going to resist this a little bit, and it's going to look really fun. And I love the resist alcohol ink techniques, but you really do end up using Yupo paper, and so this is a way to do it without that specialty paper or without adding acetate, which means that you have absolutely no working time. It is kind of, you're just mushing in the alcohol ink, but it does give it a different look. So I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss and come back when this is fully heat embossed, because I know you can't see it. Alright, so I heat embossed, and let me show you. I know you can't see it, maybe you might, but the image is ready to go. And then I went ahead and heat embossed in gold the sentiment, and this is in the black. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some masking. So I have the iCraft purple tape that I had mentioned earlier, and I'm just going to create a nice little frame with this. So what that's going to do is just going to mask the alcohol ink off of this. I'm just going to place it kind of loosely so I can lift it. And then we're going to do all sides of this. And so if you feel like this is going to tear your cardstock, just kind of touch it, and the natural oils from your skin will kind of take some of that tackiness away. And then just line up at the edge of your card, or of your card base. Here we go. And if you end up getting some seeping through, that's okay. It's just trying to keep it nice and clean, and you don't have like these random edges of color. All right, so that is ready to go. So this is what we're going to be doing. So you need a piece of acetate or something, a scrap piece of plastic, and that's exactly what I have here. It is from like a flimsy packaging. Then I have my paper plate, because this is going to protect my surface. We're going to grab some rubbing alcohol, and let me tell you, I buy this at the dollar store. It's 91% alcohol, and I'm just going to pour it there, and it will evaporate a bit slowly, especially if you put it on a non-porous surface. And then I have my alcohol ink, and this is the Tim Holtz Alcohol Pearls. Going to shake it really, really well. You want to use gloves for this if you have them, and be sure you're doing this on a ventilated area. So this is just a fun way to use your alcohol inks. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. And it's not going to spread out much because of the alcohol on the paper. So we're going to grab our paper, and I left some tabs so I can grab and move around. So we're just going to mush down. The cardstock is going to absorb the alcohol, and you're seeing it penetrated. And as it absorbs the alcohol, it's going to absorb the color. Okay, so we're going to lift it. You get this really cool effect, and it's resisting the alcohol, and that's resisting all that heat embossing. So we're just going to set this aside and let it dry. Again, the fumes from this is something else, but the look is really fun, and you're able to add different colors of alcohol ink. And it kind of left some of the pearls behind, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. So we're just going to let that dry for a couple minutes. Do not bring your heat gun on this, because you will catch your house on fire. But as you can see, as I'm drying this out just by hand, it's going to start changing the color and the way this looks. All right, so I'm somewhat dry, but I want to show you. I'm going to lift up the iCraft paper, and as you can see, I didn't press it hard enough on the edge, and so you do have some bleeding. But other than that, I'm really quite happy with the way it looks. It makes it look very, very artsy, and you still have that beautiful embossed image. And even if you used black embossing powder, it makes it look really cool. But since I used some of that pearl, the pearl is sitting on top, the color has been dispersed, and it's just a very cool look that you wouldn't normally get by using Yupo paper. Okay, with that being said, we're going to set this down, and then we're going to bring in our sentiment, and we're really just going to place it. And my thought process on this is that we're going to put it off onto that right side of where the bleeding happened, and that's okay, right? I mean, it's part of hand making a card, especially using some different products that we normally don't use, such as alcohol. And so that's very clean. We're going to finish this off with some Nuvo drops. I am using Nuvo glitter drops in Golden Sunset, and I'm just going to add a couple little drops, and I'm going to follow the stamp set. So the stamp set has itty bitty drops, and so when these dry, they're going to follow that, and it's just going to look really cool. It's going to bring attention in the eye to the stamp. It's not just necessarily a blob of color, and it just looks really cool, and it's a way to incorporate some embellishments within your stamp pad. And again, very, very easy, very different, and another way to use your alcohol inks with your Unity Stamp Company stamps. So guys, that does it for me. Crystal Thompson here for Unity. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial on something to do differently with your alcohol inks and Unity Stamp. Be sure to give this a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts on this technique, not using Yupo paper, just using regular cardstock. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day.